Death is the ultimate mystery, a doorway shrouded in shadows and silence. Many see it as the final curtain, an end to all consciousness. But what if it's not an end at all? Across cultures and spiritual traditions, death is not the opposite of life, but a continuation, one that leads the soul into a new phase of existence. From ancient Egyptian beliefs about the afterlife to modern spiritual teachings, the idea of death as a transition rather than an extinction has persisted throughout human history. Most of us fear death because we believe it to be the ultimate ending. However, numerous spiritual traditions suggest that the physical body may perish, but the essence, the soul, continues. Hinduism and Buddhism teach that death is merely a shedding of the body, like a snake discarding its skin. In Christianity and Islam, the soul's journey does not end but moves toward judgment, reincarnation, or ascension. Science, too, grapples with this mystery as quantum physics raises questions about the nature of consciousness and whether it can truly cease to exist. There are countless accounts of people who have come close to death and returned, reporting experiences that challenge our understanding of reality. Many describe feeling a profound sense of peace, floating outside their bodies, and seeing a radiant light calling them forward. Some recall vivid visions of another realm, gardens, celestial beings, or long-lost loved ones waiting to greet them. Could these be hallucinations caused by a dying brain? Or are they glimpses into a hidden dimension that only reveals itself when life fades? Ancient civilizations had profound beliefs about what happens after death. The Egyptians meticulously prepared their dead, believing the soul must pass through the Duat, the underworld, and be judged by the god Osiris. The Greeks spoke of the river Styx, where souls were ferried to the afterlife. The Norse imagined Valhalla, a grand hall where warriors feasted eternally. These myths, while diverse, share one common thread: the belief that death is not an end, but a passage to something greater. If consciousness is energy, and energy cannot be destroyed, then is death truly the end? Some modern theories suggest that what we perceive as death may simply be a transition into another form of existence. Just as dreams feel real while we experience them, could life itself be one state of awareness among many? If so, what lies beyond the veil may be more incredible than we could ever imagine. Near-death experiences, NDEs, have fascinated scientists, philosophers, and spiritual seekers for centuries. Those who have been clinically dead, whether from cardiac arrest, accidents, or severe illnesses, often describe eerily similar visions, a sense of detachment from their physical bodies, traveling through a tunnel, encountering a radiant light, and even meeting loved ones who have passed away. These stories defy logical explanations and challenge the notion that death is the absolute end. Skeptics argue that NDEs are simply hallucinations caused by a dying brain. They suggest that oxygen deprivation, the release of endorphins, and neurological reactions could explain the sensations of peace, detachment, and even visions of light. However, this theory doesn't fully account for cases where individuals accurately describe events occurring around them while they were clinically dead, such as conversations in the operating room or specific details about their resuscitation process. Some researchers propose that consciousness may exist independently of the brain, implying that death is merely a transition, not an annihilation. One of the most commonly reported elements of NDEs is the tunnel of light. People describe being pulled toward an overwhelming, loving brightness. Some claim they feel a deep sense of unity, as if merging with a greater consciousness. What makes this remarkable is that similar descriptions appear in ancient texts, from Tibetan Buddhism's Bardo Thodol, the Tibetan Book of the Dead, to accounts from indigenous shamans. Could this be the gateway to another dimension, or a fundamental transition of the soul? Many who experience NDEs claim to meet deceased relatives or even unknown figures who radiate warmth and wisdom. Some are greeted by religious figures, while others feel as though they have entered a vast realm of knowledge. The strange part? Some individuals report meeting ancestors they never knew existed, only to later confirm their existence through old family records. These encounters challenge the idea that such visions are mere byproducts of the brain. Another recurring theme in NDEs is the life review, a phenomenon where individuals relive their past actions, not just as memories, but by feeling the emotions of those they affected. Some say they experience every act of kindness and cruelty as if from the perspective of others. This idea aligns with the concept of karma and the idea that our actions shape the next stage of our journey. Is this the universe's way of guiding the soul toward growth? Despite countless reports and studies, near-death experiences remain an enigma. Are they proof of an afterlife? A doorway to a higher plane of consciousness? Or simply the brain's last attempt at making sense of the unknown? Regardless of the explanation, those who return often undergo profound transformations, losing their fear of death and embracing a deeper, more spiritual understanding of life itself. The moment we take our last breath, what happens next? Do we simply fade into nothingness? Or does our essence move beyond this dimension? Many spiritual traditions, from ancient mysticism to modern metaphysics, suggest that the soul does not end with death, but transitions into another plane of existence. These realms, often described as dimensions beyond our ordinary perception, could be the key to understanding the mystery of what lies beyond. Some believe that immediately after death, the soul enters the astral plane, a dimension where spirits exist before moving to their next destination. The astral plane is often depicted as a vast, dreamlike world filled with floating cities, ethereal landscapes, and beings of light. Many who practice astral projection claim to have visited this realm, describing it as a place where thought shapes reality and time flows differently. Could this be the first stop on the soul's journey after death? Physics has long speculated about the existence of multiple dimensions beyond the three we experience. Theories such as string theory suggest that reality might contain numerous hidden layers. Spiritual traditions echo this idea, describing various planes of existence: the physical, the astral, the mental, and even higher realms of pure consciousness. If these dimensions exist, could our souls naturally ascend through them after death? Many spiritual traditions describe a realm known as the Akashic Records, a vast cosmic library that holds the collective knowledge of every soul's experiences. Some claim that after death, the soul visits this space to review its past lives and plan for its next incarnation. Mystics and psychics have long spoken of accessing this knowledge during deep meditative states. Could this be where we go to understand the purpose of our existence? Some who have had near-death experiences describe two opposing destinations: an indescribable realm of light and love, and a vast, silent void. The realm of light is said to be a place of peace, where souls feel an overwhelming sense of belonging. Others describe a dark void, not as a place of suffering, but as an infinite space of reflection, a waiting area before the next journey begins. These two realms may represent different stages of the soul's transition. If reincarnation is real, does the soul choose its next life? Some belief systems, such as Hinduism and certain esoteric traditions, suggest that souls reincarnate based on the lessons they need to learn. Others propose that between lives, souls exist in a state of pure consciousness, deciding when and where they will return. If true, then death is not an ending, but simply the next step in a continuous cycle of growth. What happens after we die? Do we dissolve into nothingness, or do we continue our existence in unseen dimensions? While no definitive answer exists, the countless stories, spiritual traditions, and even emerging scientific theories suggest that consciousness does not simply vanish. Perhaps the truth is more profound than we can imagine. One that we will only fully understand when we, too, step beyond the veil. Reincarnation, the belief that the soul is reborn into a new body after death, has existed for thousands of years. Found in Hinduism, Buddhism, ancient Egyptian traditions, and even some Western esoteric philosophies, this idea suggests that life is not a single journey, but a continuous cycle of learning and evolution. If the soul reincarnates, each lifetime serves as a lesson, a step forward or backward, based on one's actions and spiritual growth. One of the most intriguing aspects of reincarnation is the phenomenon of past life memories. Young children, especially, have been known to recall details of lives they should have no knowledge of. Descriptions of places, people, and events verified through historical records. Researchers, such as Dr. Ian Stevenson, have documented thousands of such cases, providing compelling evidence that memories can sometimes transcend lifetimes. If consciousness is truly eternal, could these recollections be glimpses into our soul's past journeys? In many spiritual traditions, reincarnation is closely tied to the law of karma, the idea that every action has consequences, shaping the circumstances of future lives. A soul that accumulates wisdom and kindness may reincarnate into a more enlightened existence, while one that causes suffering may face hardships as lessons for growth. This concept suggests that life is not random, but governed by spiritual laws designed to foster evolution. Some spiritual teachings propose that between incarnations, souls enter a spiritual realm where they reflect on their past life and prepare for the next one. This realm, sometimes described as the Akashic Records or a soul dimension, is believed to be a place of healing and guidance. In this state, souls may meet with spirit guides, review their past choices, and decide on their future path. If reincarnation is a process of spiritual evolution, then what happens in this in-between state may determine the lessons of the next life. If reincarnation is real, why don't we all remember our previous lives? Many traditions believe that the veil of forgetfulness is intentional, allowing each new life to be a fresh start, free from the burdens of past mistakes. However, certain moments, déjà vu, vivid dreams, deep emotional connections to places or people, might be remnants of past incarnations, subtly influencing our current choices. If reincarnation exists, then its purpose may be soul growth, a continuous journey toward enlightenment. Some believe that after many lifetimes, a soul reaches a state where it no longer needs to reincarnate, transcending the cycle and merging with the divine. This concept, found in Buddhism and Hinduism, suggests that life is not about reaching a final destination, but about evolving toward wisdom and compassion. Despite the compelling accounts and spiritual teachings, reincarnation remains one of the greatest mysteries of existence. Is it a hidden law of the universe, shaping our destinies across time? Or is it merely a comforting belief, a way to give meaning to the unknown? Regardless of the answer, the idea of returning, learning, and growing through lifetimes offers a profound perspective on the nature of the soul. One of the most fascinating and consistent reports from near-death experiences, NDEs, is the life review, a moment where individuals relive their entire existence, not just as memories, but as if experiencing them again. However, it's not merely a replay. People claim to feel the emotions they caused in others. Every kindness, every harm, every unnoticed moment of significance is revealed with startling clarity. Could this be the soul's way of evaluating its journey? Many who undergo a life review say they don't just recall their past actions, they feel them from the perspective of others. If they caused joy, they experience that joy. If they inflicted pain, they feel the suffering they created. This concept aligns with the idea of universal consciousness, where all souls are interconnected, and what we do to others, we ultimately do to ourselves. Many life reviews are accompanied by a presence, sometimes described as a being of light, an ascended guide, or even a projection of one's own higher self. This presence does not judge. Instead, it offers understanding, allowing the soul to reflect without condemnation. Those who have returned from NDEs often say they felt pure love during this process, as if the universe itself was gently showing them their own truth. What is the purpose of the life review? Many believe it serves as a teaching moment, allowing the soul to truly understand the impact of its choices. Some say it's a way of preparing for the next stage, whether that means reincarnation, ascension, or simply merging back into a higher consciousness. The review highlights patterns, showing recurring mistakes or triumphs across lifetimes. Many who have undergone an NDE return profoundly changed. The experience of seeing their life with such raw honesty often leads them to become more compassionate, more forgiving, and more focused on love over material pursuits. If the life review is real, then every action matters, not because of external judgment, but because we ultimately judge ourselves through the eyes of higher awareness. If consciousness is eternal, could the life review be the soul's way of integrating its experiences before moving forward? Some believe it is part of a larger cosmic process, ensuring that every action contributes to the soul's growth. Others see it as a reflection of an ultimate universal law, where awareness expands beyond the individual self into a grand, interconnected reality. Throughout human history, various religions and spiritual traditions have painted vibrant images of an idyllic paradise awaiting the soul after death. Christianity describes heaven as an eternal realm filled with peace, love, and the presence of the divine. Similarly, Islam illustrates Jannah, a place of endless beauty, harmony, and fulfillment. Yet, these depictions go beyond mere religious symbolism. They reflect humanity's deepest desire for a state of perfect peace beyond the troubles of physical existence. Many modern spiritual philosophies suggest that after death, our consciousness returns to a universal energy source. This belief is echoed in Eastern spiritual traditions, particularly within Hinduism and Taoism, where the soul reunites with Brahman, or universal consciousness, dissolving individual identity and merging back into the infinite source. This vision sees death not as loss, but as reunification, like a single drop returning to the ocean. Our individual identity may fade, but our essence continues forever in an ocean of infinite consciousness. Certain metaphysical teachings describe the afterlife not as a physical location, but rather a state of pure consciousness, an existence free from physical limitations. In this higher dimension, the soul supposedly experiences profound clarity, perceiving reality without boundaries or separation. Mystics and philosophers have long spoken about states of enlightenment in which individuals transcend their physical selves. Death, in this perspective, may simply be a permanent version of these fleeting glimpses into a boundless spiritual realm. Not all conceptions of the afterlife envision vibrant realms or spiritual ascension. Some philosophies describe the ultimate state after death as a peaceful, silent void, an eternal state of rest. Zen Buddhism, for instance, speaks of emptiness not as oblivion, but as freedom from suffering and attachment. The void isn't seen as terrifying emptiness, but rather as a tranquil return to the purest state of being, formless, timeless, and completely free from suffering and desire. Perhaps, rather than fearing oblivion, humanity can find comfort in returning to the peaceful silence from which all existence emerges. Modern physics increasingly supports the notion of multiple parallel realities, dimensions existing beyond our ordinary senses. Quantum mechanics suggests that consciousness may not be confined strictly to our physical bodies. Could death release consciousness into these other realities? Ancient mystics described realms existing simultaneously alongside ours, accessible only through spiritual practice or death itself. Perhaps the afterlife isn't a singular destination, but multiple potential paths chosen by the consciousness as it departs from physical life. Another captivating theory proposes that souls have the ability to choose their next form of existence consciously. Rather than reincarnation happening randomly, spiritual teachings suggest the soul reviews past experiences and decides its next incarnation based on unfulfilled lessons or desired growth. This perspective gives profound meaning to death, transforming it from an event to be feared into a conscious decision, a soul deliberately continuing its eternal journey toward perfection and enlightenment. Some spiritual traditions argue that heaven isn't an external destination, but an internal state. After physical death, consciousness may experience itself fully, freed from the constraints of the ego and material desires. Instead of entering a new external place, the soul merges with its truest nature, pure, limitless awareness. This view aligns with the teachings of mystics and enlightened sages who claim that paradise is not a location, but a state of consciousness. If this is true, death might simply remove the illusion of separateness, allowing the soul to fully experience its eternal, limitless essence. For centuries, science has attempted to explain the mystery of death and what, if anything, lies beyond. Neuroscientists argue that near-death experiences, NDEs, visions of the afterlife, and feelings of leaving the body are simply the brain's response to extreme stress. When the body begins to shut down, a surge of chemicals floods the brain, creating hallucinations that feel real. From this viewpoint, consciousness is an emergent property of the brain, meaning that when the brain dies, our awareness ceases to exist. But can all aspects of the afterlife be dismissed as mere illusions? Modern physics has revealed a reality far stranger than we once believed. Theories in quantum mechanics suggest that consciousness may not be confined to the brain, but instead exist as a fundamental aspect of the universe itself. Some physicists speculate that our minds are connected to a larger, unseen field of energy, implying that death might not be an end, but a shift in perception. Could consciousness survive death in a way science has yet to understand? Spiritual traditions across the world suggest that death is merely a transition. Unlike science, which focuses on material explanations, spiritual teachings propose that consciousness is not created by the brain, but instead channeled through it. This idea aligns with ancient beliefs that the body is a temporary vessel and that the soul or spirit continues its journey in other dimensions. If energy cannot be destroyed, as physics suggests, could our consciousness continue in another form? Despite scientific skepticism, countless documented cases suggest that something extraordinary happens at the moment of death. Stories of shared death experiences, where bystanders witness a soul leaving a body, and verified accounts of past life memories in children, challenge the mainstream view that consciousness ceases with brain death. These cases remain unexplained by science, leaving open the possibility that spiritual beliefs may hold deeper truths than previously thought. For some, science and spirituality are opposites. One relies on measurable evidence, while the other embraces the unknown. But what if they are two halves of the same puzzle? Many great thinkers, including Einstein and Tesla, believed that science would eventually uncover truths that mystics had known for centuries. If we accept that reality is far more complex than what we can currently measure, the boundary between science and spirituality may not be as rigid as we once believed. Despite all we know, the truth about death remains one of humanity's greatest mysteries. Science continues to probe deeper, and spirituality offers timeless wisdom. Yet neither has provided an absolute answer. Perhaps understanding the afterlife requires a new perspective, one that embraces both the measurable and the mystical, the logical and the intuitive. Until then, the question remains: is death the end or the beginning of something greater? For centuries, humanity has sought answers about what happens after death. We have turned to religion, science, philosophy, and even personal experiences, yet the truth remains elusive. Despite all the theories, reincarnation, heaven, energy transformation, or the void, we are still left with the great unknown. Perhaps the reason death remains a mystery is because it is meant to be experienced, not fully understood. Some spiritual traditions suggest that the key to understanding death is not outside us, but within. If consciousness is not merely a product of the brain, but something eternal, then perhaps death is simply a shift in awareness. Many who have experienced near-death experiences describe a sense of expanded consciousness, as if seeing reality from a higher perspective. Could it be that death is not an end, but an awakening? What if the afterlife is not a fixed place, but rather a reflection of our own beliefs and consciousness? Some theories propose that after death, we experience a reality shaped by our deepest expectations. Those who believe in heaven may find themselves in a paradise. Those who expect nothingness may enter a state of peaceful void. This concept suggests that death is not one universal experience, but an infinitely personal journey. Some esoteric teachings suggest that life and death are illusions, and that we are constantly shifting between different realities without realizing it. If time is not linear, then every moment of existence could be occurring simultaneously. This idea aligns with theories of parallel dimensions, where every decision we make creates a new path, and death is simply another transition between these realities. If this is true, then what we call life and death may be part of an infinite cycle of consciousness. Regardless of what happens after death, one truth remains: the awareness of death shapes how we live. Those who have had near-death experiences often return with a deeper appreciation for life, realizing that love, kindness, and consciousness are the only things that truly matter. Whether or not the afterlife exists, embracing the mystery of death can inspire us to live more fully, mindfully, and meaningfully. Perhaps the afterlife is not somewhere we go, but rather a state we awaken to. If consciousness transcends time and space, then the truth of what happens after death might not be about an external journey, but an inner realization. The answers we seek may already be within us, waiting to be uncovered, not through fear, but through self-discovery and awareness.